Here we have a Mahonia Charity, and as you can see, it's a pretty large bush. Now, the main problem is that if you look at the base of it, it hasn't been pruned over a number of years, and in fact the lower branches aren't producing new growth. And what we always need to do is actually take out some of that top growth to encourage new growth from the base. We've been doing it over a couple of years, and you can see there is a bit of growth, but not quite enough. So we're going to reduce it in height. Couple of tools that we're going to use: ladder, well, steps, and here's a very useful tool. It's a Wolf long arm. You can see it extends out to about 10 feet and can be really useful for getting some of those top pieces. Now let's just go in a bit closer to this plant and I can show you what has happened in the past. Here is some new growth at a lower level where it's been pruned, and you can see some of the prunings in the past have been here and therefore encouraged this lower growth. But up here, if we look into the top, we can see that the top has just gone topsy and not producing a lot of low growth. So let's just climb up the steps briefly and show you just what I'm talking about. I've climbed up the steps now, and I want to show you what happens if you cut back the growth. You can see, if we look right in here, you can see that there's a lot of upright growth here. I'm going to be cutting some of this older wood that I've got in my hand here back. And also you can see what happens if I show you here. You can see that we've cut back and there's new growth starting to form. But of course this new growth is being covered by all this old top growth. So it needs careful pruning, getting rid of some of this old top growth, and we should be able to make this bush a much more attractive plant. The thing about Mahonia Charity is it produces this very attractive berry. The birds do like the berries. They go a sort of greeny blacky colour. And the other thing that we must mention about Mahonia Charity, which I haven't, is that what a great plant in the spring. You see where the seed heads are? Well, if you look at the seed heads, they were lovely yellow flowers, and they flower in, well, they're supposed to flower in February, but in fact you'll find that they actually flower right through from Christmas onwards in these different days that we seem to be having these days with this funny weather patterns. So there, that's Mahonia Charity. I tell you what, we'll have another look at this plant when we've completed pruning it, and you'll be able to see where I've cut it and shaped it. You can now see what we've done. We've actually cut back all the back of the bush back to a reasonable height. You can see all nicely cut off to a reasonable height. Here we go, and there we're down into the bush, and you can see there's some new growth coming from where we've cut in the past. I'm just going to show you the front so that you can see that we haven't mutilated the front, and we use the front to cover where we've cut. And let's just look at the bush now, and hopefully you'll see that we've actually left the front. And then what we do is we leave the front of the Mahonia, and then as the back grows, we will then be able to trim the front out at an angle and finish looking at it. Now let's just run through the tools that we've used again. And there we go, there's my shadow. A pair of Philco secateurs with a pair of gloves, a pair of Philco long chompers, as I call them, but heavy duty cutters, a Wolf long arm, and then we mustn't forget the hoe. The hoe is to tidy up the bed when we've finished. And there's the pile of rubbish, which will be going into a 1-ton bag, and they are job done. Mahonia Charity, pruned for this year.